Aloha and welcome to Freedom Spirit Podcast with the Salty Soul. I am your host, Heather Young, here to share radically real and raw experiences as we bridge the gap between spirituality and the everyday aspects of entrepreneurship, relationships, and independent parenthood. Together, we'll explore the transformative power of personal and spiritual growth, all in service of uplifting humanity and raising the collective vibration of our planet. My mission is to inspire you to embrace your journey and create your own version of heaven on earth, because your evolution matters and the world needs your light. So let's dive in. Hello, today's podcast is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So as I sink deeper into integration after getting home from my 3-day retreat with Artist Power recently, with Garen Jones and the crew, where we went super deep into some serious internal work, ancestral work. If you haven't heard of him or Artist Power, I highly recommend checking it out. No, I was not paid to mention this, but I truly, truly recommend it if you are looking for deep healing, connection, or understanding of yourself. Seriously, get ready to have the most incredible 3 days of what we call church without the judgment. So I started to think about my personal development journey and who I was when I first started my online business 7 years ago and who I'm becoming on the way to what I see as success and who I'm becoming in each moment, because that is truly the entire point of business in my eyes. It's who you get to become on the way to whatever that success looks like to you. So whether that is a 6-figure, 7-figure, or even 8-figure income, whether it's making an impact on others while you stay in your integrity and alignment. And when I say integrity, for example, not too long ago, I was working at a resort here in Hawaii. It was at a pool bar, handing out overpriced cocktails and overpriced seed oil drenched food to all of the visitors that came to stay at the hotel. And I started to question why I was working somewhere that was completely out of an alignment and integrity for who I wanted to be and where I was going, just for a paycheck. I'd finally committed to quit drinking and to more fully clean up my diet because I knew the importance of these overlooked daily actions most of America sees as normal. And for someone who was a creative health coach for a short period of time, I realized that I knew better, or at least had the knowledge to do better. So it was my job to fully embody that I do better, and I quit selling something that was not actually helping my brothers and sisters in the larger scale of things. I truly believe that we are all here walking one another back home. And if I had the choice, I would have never made alcohol something that ever existed because of the family line of addiction and things that I have seen go so terribly wrong because of alcohol. It's something that I wish didn't exist, and I'm not going to say that I don't have an occasional celebration toast or whatever it is, and I don't judge myself for it or others. Yes, I believe we all have stepping stones on our way to doing what we are meant to be doing. And sometimes we have to do what we have to do in order to pay our bills. And I'm also aware that for some of us, our purpose is to be a janitor at a school, or a teacher, or a musician, or in hospitality like I was for many, many years. But for me, at this point, felt like I was making unconscious decisions within my conscious knowing, and I needed to make a change. Or maybe your job is to be the best mother or father or parent that you can be. Because let's face it, parents have one of the most important jobs that have not really got enough credit over the centuries. And I think they are now, but still, like, it is one of the most important jobs there are out there. And I can't help but realize the level of survival energy that I was once in after becoming a new mom, especially that got me to a certain level of success. And you can totally create a lot of amazing things from pushing and hustling because you feel like you have to produce a certain level. But when you can come into true alignment with your purpose and your integrity, that's really where the magic starts to happen. A level of success and independence that was more about freedom, that was not going to be achieved in most business models structured in hierarchy or 9 to 5s. Especially towards the end of my first year of my online business, I had done so much personal development in such a short amount of time that I could not pretend or close my eyes to the fact that I deserved kindness and unconditional love while making the decision to leave my partner. I had a 1-year-old by my side at that time, and I had just really come to know and respect and love and understand myself at a level that I had not been taught or understood. And I had decided to be with somebody who was not only not willing to grow with me, but also was unwilling to have the level of respect that I required and deserved. And so I was really determined to be able to provide for myself and my son in a healthy, balanced, and loving home where I was no longer functioning in that fight or flight or primarily in the masculine energy like I had been for so long. And we all have that feminine and masculine energy that we can work within the realms of energy, but also in how we move in the 3D world. For me, taking that messy, heart led action, doing things that my soul knew I had to do, and it's not even had to do, it's what I got to do. Or I would be a single mom stuck in a 9 to 5, paying someone else to put my baby to bed while I sold my soul to a corporation doing things that I didn't feel in alignment, like selling people alcohol when I didn't even drink anymore. And of course, on the surface, I would consciously be reminding myself of the past memories of making between $500 and $1,000 a night by slinging cocktails on a Friday and Saturday night, a couple times a week. Why would I let that go? And that version of me got me where I needed to go out of survival mode. And I had been trained to work and think in this way and doing a lot of things in an unbalanced way previously that was all out of survival and fear. We have two choices. You can either embody love and take actions from that frequency, or you can do the exact opposite and take actions and live in that frequency of fear, because there really are literally only those two choices. And yeah, there's a spectrum of different frequencies and emotions and places that you can land on that chart. If you take a look at the chart of consciousness, I love that chart. It helps you see the emotions and the frequency at which they are. And I've had my times of flow and ease and effortless prosperity in my business and life and happiness and all of the things like we all do. There were many times along my journey where I was at an all-time high of survival and fight or flight mode. And no one wants to be there. It is so uncomfortable. I started coming head to head with so many different obstacles, and you've probably heard this saying, a new level, a different devil. And I was truly being tested over and over with initiations after initiations and getting the opportunities to take action on the things that I said I would do and on the things that quietly whispered next steps. And it was hard to get out of my head and to actually follow those quiet whispers of not overthinking it and wondering like how will this will work out, and just realizing that you don't have to know the how and the when. Our only job is to understand the why and the what. So this podcast, for example, I created the artwork for it over a year ago. And now I'm just actually taking the actions of learning how to edit, use software, doing the damn thing because it's actually bringing it into reality. And there have been so many times that whatever negativity has come to take me down. And it's so difficult to express to you what has happened to me spiritually, emotionally, and physically, mentally, and energetically over the last 9 years living here in Hawaii and being oceans away from my family, let alone over the course of my lifetime that I haven't shared anywhere or with anyone, but I get to hear and in my upcoming book. And I'm so excited and grateful to be able to do that. I'm just so grateful to myself that I have the willingness to open up and share these things, because there's so much that is about to be shared that I've never spoken about to anyone. And it's quite vulnerable. And I've really learned to really just love vulnerability in people. When I see people being vulnerable and they're just speaking their heart and just being so raw and authentic, I crave that from people. And so why not be that here for you? Because if my story can help you in any way, that is the purpose. You turn that clump of coal into a piece of gold in whatever fashion that you can. You turn those lemons into lemonade. You got to use what you've got in order to help others, because truly none of this is about you. None of this is about me. It is, but it isn't. It's the duality of it, right? And so I was and still am so determined and inspired to continue to stand up for what I believe in and what I desire to call in during this lifetime. So I have moved over 20 different homes over a period of the last 9 years, which most of them happened after having my son, now that he's 7. And we have encountered a couple mentally unstable landlords along the way that have had me running for me and my son's safety, quite honestly. And that is just the tip of the iceberg in so much of my journey. And I know that I could no longer function in a way that got me to where I am now, still living those dreams that I once dreamt. Because as we continue to live, it's like we're continuously creating the next dream, the next thing, right? We're continually growing, our worlds are evolving, our dreams are evolving. And if they're not, maybe you need to step back into what you dreamt about when you were younger, try to get back into that place of dreaming. And it's so easy for me because, I'm a Pisces, Cancer. I am very watery, very fluid, very dreamy. And so, this is me trying to inspire you to get back into that dream state, because for me, it is a daily occurrence. Like, I much rather be dreaming in la la land rather than, being in this physical 3D reality most of the time. But it's a real challenge for me to balance that and to stay grounded. So after all of that dreaming and stepping into that dream reality that I once dreamt of 10 years ago, I realized the majority of that consisted of not only being in that lower frequency of fight or flight and being really determined, but also mostly consisted of being brave, having a lot of curiosity. I had a lot of lack of boundaries back then, a lot of self-judgment, and a whole lot of dreaming, which got me here. And all of that is not going to get me to where I'm going now. And it got me to where I am. So I am grateful for it. And I thank that version of myself. I thank her every day, because I now know, looking back, a whole lot more than I knew back then. And I think it's so important for us to really just thank and be really grateful for those older parts and versions of ourselves, because they got us to where we needed to go, because we are always right where we need to be. And now guess what? I get to share my experiences for the first time, where I have extracted the gold nuggets of wisdom from those not always beautiful or sexy experiences, and share some of the God-given talents and abilities to transmute less than desirable experiences into something valuable here for you. As I have journeyed this independent motherhood experience from practically the very beginning. By the way, I don't use the word single. I use the term independent because I believe the majority of people truly deep down underneath the lies that maybe they have been told or the past experiences or beliefs or pain, the majority of humans don't want to be alone forever. So why speak that word, claiming yourself as single, right? And maybe some of you do. And I think underneath it all, human beings, we all really just desire unconditional love without fear or judgment. Whatever form that looks like to you, in saying all of that, I use my words very intentionally and say independent mother because independence is what I desire, whether I'm in a relationship or not singularity. So I just wanted to make that clear. I also see that independent mom thing has been the story I have been playing over and over and over. And guess what? I now desire a far deeper way of living beyond independence. I deeply desire vulnerable, respectful, and conscious connections. I'm just remembering that I get to write, produce, practice, rewrite, and even narrate my own story. And so do you. But I also believe that it is a co-creation with God because if you think that you know better than the higher power, whatever you want to call that, God's spirit, higher self, like it's all the same thing. Because if you think that you know better than the higher power, at some point, if you want to walk a path, you'll have to learn to let go and surrender what your mind thinks is right for you. And I've had to learn the hard way when I thought that I was the only one creating anything in my life. And I was oh so wrong. And I knew from a young age, I grew up in religion, and that was the cornerstone of being raised. It was God and prayer. And I'm so grateful for that. But somewhere along the way of my confusion and trying to find myself in my 20s, I had forgotten. So if there's something that you don't like about your life, great. Change it, rewrite it for your children, for the ones before and the ones after you. We all have free will, but I highly recommend combining that with guidance from whatever it is that you believe in, because I truly believe that there is a path for all of us that is so much better than we could even imagine if we just surrender to our own power and ask for the path to be shown to us. So I had definitely one of the biggest income months of my life in the matter of 3 days of around $35,000 recently while sitting on the beach making a stick teepee with my 7-year-old. And it has been the greatest honor to realize that I get to rewrite my reality from some of the beliefs and patterns that I've been passed down. Like probably so many of you also are aware of the term chosen one. Have you heard of that term before? So I don't completely resonate with the term, but it gets the point across to what I'm about to explain. So being the chosen one, right? Or maybe you're like, what the heck is she talking about? Like, what do you mean chosen one? Like it's some egotistical term or something. Getting to be the chosen one in our family is the one who gets to help or be the first to break through the chains of generational patterns, lack, fear, beliefs, vibrational thresholds, maybe financial thresholds, maybe relationship thresholds for those ancestors who didn't get the opportunity or have the knowledge or tools. And this is a whole other topic for a future podcast that I definitely want to get into. At its essence, it's claiming your sovereignty each and every day by realigning your thoughts, your actions, and your words to align not only vibrationally, but also in the physical to the reality that you really desire and deserve. And I just want to make this really clear because I am not here to tell you and show you exactly how to have the most perfect relationship with yourself or your partner or with money or to have the business in order to reach fulfilled freedom, peace, success, prosperity, because I have a long ways to go and work to do, because the soul growth never really ends unless maybe you're Jesus. I am here to remind you that that we are all interconnected, and you do have a choice to reach those higher levels of love and health and wealth through choosing to stay in the frequency of love. Really trickles down into the tiny choices that you make every day. Are you making the choices that are chosen out of love? Because I went for a very long time in my life making choices out of fear that were not fun, and I don't want that for you. So if you can have that awareness of choosing the fear or the love and balancing that out, you can really see this distinction between the two. And I'm not saying be love and light, because hear me, I have come to terms with my dark side, and more than ever have allowed myself to feel the anger and the sorrow and the grief that I have allowed myself to feel. And that is that duality of who we are, because we are just pure unconditional love, but we have been trained into fear. And it's really important that we allow ourselves to feel those opposite emotions. And we all have those emotions of anger and grief and jealousy and whatever low vibration feelings that we have. We're only human. We all have them, but it's about having the awareness of them and doing the work so that they come up less often and we see them as a guiding point for us. Because when we feel a certain emotion, you realize that it's trying to tell you something. And that's part of the work, the duality of life, like I said before, and will continue to say, it is in everything. And I want to ask you, how can you start to embody more love and less fear in your life today? Embodiment doesn't come from your mind, it comes from your heart and the way that you feel and act. So when I look back at all those long days of raising a child and even longer nights without sleep, grinding away in some chapters of my life in a very unaligned fashion, without proper nutrition some days, not drinking enough water, not exercising enough, and continuing to push forward in a business because I thought that's what I needed to be doing in order to get to the next level. I was so wrong. And I didn't realize the magic of the more I focused on giving to myself and working on my mindset more than I did my business. And the more ease, flow, and grace and abundance I was going to be able to attract and hold in my frequency. Because as your frequency grows, you're able to hold more higher levels of love, essentially. I hope that makes sense if this is the first time hearing this for you. And I just want to open up to your mind to this world, because it's not woo-woo. It's actually proven science. And when you can really start to think and see things in terms of frequency and sound and energy, get who said that? Somebody said that, but when you really start to see the world in terms of those things, that's when you start to understand this 3D reality that we are all playing a part in. But you don't know what you don't know until you know. And then there's like a light switch that goes off, and there's no going back to who you used to be and how you used to operate or what you used to settle for. My desire of having you here and having clicked play today on this podcast is to help guide you back home to yourself through your own experiences and your own entrepreneurial journey, if you are feeling the pull to lean into that direction, in order to tap into a new level of freedom that allows you to live your most authentic and fulfilled life. I love you guys so much. I just want you to remember who you are, and don't let anyone take your dreams away from you, because this life was created for you to forget in order for you to remember just who the fuck you are and who you came here to be. You can find my Instagram or email in the show notes below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, and from those of you who are ready to take your life to the next level in unconditional wealth building. It's something new that's never been done before, and I'm so excited to share it with only a small percentage of you who feel called to the words that I've spoke. And I'd love to connect with you and hear more about what your vision of heaven on earth looks like, to see how we can co-create that together in some capacity.